Good late night, ladies and gents. We're gonna do. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? We're gonna do another 1v1 cast. It's kind of that sentence is kind of becoming a tradition to say in the beginning of the videos for some reason. Anyhow, this time we're on Glades of Ithilien, and I absolutely love this map. It's one of my favorite maps in this mod. You know, all of these trees on the mountains and the general layout of it, the texturing, everything really is just like hits all the check marks of a good map. Obviously looks much better on max graphics, but also obviously we don't play on max graphics due to engine limitations. Game engine limitations is what I mean. And yeah, I don't tend to cast on those either. Anyway, enough rambling, let's just get straight into the game itself. So on the bottom side of the map, or on the left side, whichever you prefer, we've got myself, and I'm playing for Rohan. I've gone for 3 farms, and I've also built the 4th one, but you know, on 0%, basically it doesn't give me any income, just 1 income, you know, one gold, 1 resource, whatever it is that you want to call it, per tick, which is basically nothing. And I've built this solely for the purpose of spamming peasants. On the other hand, on the right or top side of the map, we've got the player TaK, or TaK. Let's call him TaK. He's playing for Eisen, gone for 4 resource structures, of which 3 are furnaces and 1 is an armory. Which is a very interesting choice. That's a very economical opening. And I would say this is a super economical opening because besides all of that, he's also gone for 1 clan setting, but also straight into lumber mills. That's very interesting. And I'm pretty sure he's preparing to build the 2nd one. Anyhow, so besides this farm that I'm planning to use for peasant spam, I've also got a barracks because I think we played this game like a few weeks ago, so I don't quite remember what my train of thought was here, but I'm assuming I was expecting work start or something like that, so that's why I built it. So 1st battalion of peasants successfully destroys one of his furnaces, and the reason for that is that he's got since he's got a super economical opening, he really doesn't have that many troops on the map right now, so not much to defend with. And he was trying to steal my creep over this side of the map. Well, obviously creeps are generally neutral structures, but nominally speaking, this one is on my side of the map. Let me just quickly check if I'm recording. I am indeed. Yeah, I was trying to steal the creep on my side of the map, but I kind of scared him away with my peasants, because obviously peasants are a swordsman unit and they would easily manage to kill these wildman spearmen battalion. So I creep over here with this 1 battalion of yeoman pikemen, I guess that's how they're called. Yeoman spearmen, sorry. But yeah, you got the point. Anyhow, we've got 2 battalions of peasants here and 1 battalion of yeoman spearmen is trying to join them to continue harassing Eisen's economy. Meanwhile, Eisen is creeping this work creep, and over here I think he used war chant. That is correct, but not the best use of war chant, I would say, on just 1 battalion, and that battalion is probably gonna, although I mean with the battalion it gets to level 2, and if he manages to get them away instead of just feeding them, that would be a good usage of it, but sadly he does not do that. On the other hand, he does creep, so he's gonna get, I think, around 200 or 300 resources. I think it's 300 from the creep, so yeah, so at this point I've set up the 2nd farm for peasant spam, and I'm trying to harass him from 2 sides, from the bottom and also from the top. And I also missed the part where I also built the stables, and for the 1st battalion of horsemen of the mark is on the map. So at this point TaK is in not the best of situations, actually. He doesn't really have that many troops on the map. He does have his eco pretty well set up for this, you know, for the stage of the game, but doesn't really have that many. Ooh, a bit lags, a bit of lags, a bit laggy is what I meant. for a few seconds there, but hopefully that'll pass and won't persist over the course of the game. Anyhow, so we can see that TaK has gone for the work pit, and he has his first battalion of work riders at this point already, but I'm just spamming pretty effectively right now from 2 farms and also barracks, so the spam is pretty lethal at this point, and you can't really do much against it. I mean, he does trample some peasants, but I've got, I think, 2 battalions. Yes, that is 2 battalions of yeoman spearmen protecting the peasants. So the warg riders weren't super effective. I think he wasn't expecting the pikes because he saw them pretty late. He built the warg pit much earlier than he saw the pikes. But yeah, so a bit unlucky there for TaK in his usage of in his choice of strategy is what I meant. He could have gone for the second clan setting, and that would have probably been a bit more effective. But we can see that he's got the second battalion of wargs at this point, and they're starting to give him a lot more benefit. He managed to trample a lot more peasants this time around, and I'm retreating here because I don't really have that many troops left, but I'm also continuing my harassment of his economy with this Horsemen of the Mark battalion. So what's happening over here? So I'm going for the second battalion of Horsemen of the Mark, and I'm pretty sure I've got the full discount on them. Yeah, 6 farms gives them 25% discount, which is, which comes in pretty darn handy. So in terms of command points, I've got 600 and 400 on the field, and on the other hand, TaK has 425 and 200 active armies. So definitely at this point I'm ahead in terms of command points and production. I've also got my first 2 heroes actually on the field. I mean, it depends on whether you consider Mary a hero or not. Well, technically he definitely is, since you hire him from the fort. From the hero section of the fort is what I meant. And also Elwyn. Elwyn obviously is very effective in her buff of peasants. I think she gives them armor. Yeah, 25% armor and better, double experience gain essentially, which helps them get to level 2 easier, which grants them flags, banners rather, and also stats, obviously. Okay, so in terms of power points, I'm pretty sure Eisen is actually ahead because because he himself hasn't lost that many troops, because he hasn't built that many troops. He did feed me a bit of cavalry, but otherwise that's about it. On the other hand, I fed him lots of peasants over there, so yeah, in terms of power points, he's got War Chant and also Devastation, and on the other hand, I've got, well, actually not really. I mean, it's more or less equal. I've got Draft and also Horn of the Westfold, which I already used, and I'm assuming I used it somewhere around here. I just wasn't paying attention. Yeah, so in terms of economy, I'm definitely well set up, and I'm getting his clan statting down at this point, and it's not looking good for him. It's not looking good. Like, I'm already starting to build my farms over his half of the map, and I take down his clan statting, and I continue harassing his economy from this side too, so harassing from 2 sides, and also with the Horsemen of the Mark, and also sending in more battalions. Yeah, I mean, his base is essentially empty, although he does make very smart move over there. Elwyn is about to go down, by the way. Pretty damn big mistake by me. I got too carried away. I have this very bad tendency, very bad habit of, when I feel like I'm winning very convincingly, I basically stop controlling. I basically stop sending in reinforcements or controlling more attentively with my troops, and I paid heavily over there for that lost Elwyn. At this point, TaK has Sharkle on the map. I don't have anything, exactly for the reason that I just mentioned. I basically stopped spamming, thinking that, okay, that's basically GG. I got essentially his entire base, his production, most of his starting farms, 2 of them to be more specific, and also one of the lumber mills. But as I mentioned a few moments earlier, TaK has set up a few furnaces on the top side of the map, which hasn't been discovered by me. So in terms of economy, it's definitely not good. for this phase of the game, but it's not entirely terrible either. So, but also importantly, he has Sharko on the field who buffs. I'm pretty sure he gives them leadership to the wargs, and 3 battalions of wargs, Sharku, and yeah, standard leadership, 33 armor damage, 50% experience gain. Okay, so a bit of a reset on the map. I go for the second barracks, and still have these 2 farms for spam, and also upgrade my stables to level 2. And I'm planning to build Rohirrim warriors eventually. I kind of hate going with a Kingsguard because I feel like they're just unreasonably effective and pretty darn unkillable if you control them well. So I prefer going with a normal Kev. I don't know, just Kingsguard feels a bit like cheating to me, to be quite honest with you. So I tend to not use them in games. Okay, so Sharko is continuing his harassment, and he's getting a lot of power points for that. And TaK is trying to is quickly expanding his economy at this point. Yeah, definitely. Like, he built like 4 furnaces while I was kind of resetting and switching my strategy to, from spammier peasants to Westfolders in terms of infantry, Westfolders plus pikes. I kind of wanted to test Westfolders in this game, see how good they are, see how good they fare, especially in this matchup against Urks, because eventually I was expecting it to get Urks from TaK. But yeah, so this Sharko harassment is being very effective right now, and I'm not sure why I'm not getting one of these Pike 1 battalions over here to kind of counter them, or at least get them to run away. Well, probably because I sent home this one, so that is why. So Sharko is already level 5, which unlocks. So level 3 summons a way of charging wargs, and level 5 unlocks. So he kills an opponent's unit, regains 50% of his health, and gains 50 damage at 100 armor. That's pretty damn hardcore. Not bad, definitely not bad for a hero that isn't very expensive. Better save this cavalry. I could have got them on the fountain and got them healed, but I miscontrol here and feed him an entire battalion. But I have my infantry over here and continuing to harass him, with pikemen and Westfolders over here, and also a set of pikemen and Westfolders over here. My clump on the furnace wasn't good here, and also TaK has a pretty damn good army at this point, which is a mix of Wildman and Urk units, and also Sharko that is trying to trample my pikes without getting damage. Although those weren't pikes, those were actually peasants. But yeah, if you don't know, Rise of the Witch King has this annoying bug when cavalry sometimes tramples literal pikes and doesn't get any crush revenge damage. I think that's what's called. That's what it's called in the code. But yeah, Sharko is wrecking me over here. I don't have enough troops. This pikeman and Westfold mix wasn't particularly successful. Although I do send 2 battalion of horsemen of the mark here to kind of at least salvage the situation somehow. Get something out of this fight. But I definitely lose the fight here and feed him even more power points. Thanks to which he gets his second tier 2, which is Tainted Land. But while I was fighting here, while I was feeding him and distracting him, I send in another harassment group over this side, one Yeoman Spearman battalion and one Westfolder battalion. But at this point, the Eisen army is starting to look, it's not like super scary yet, but it's starting to get there. So he's got one shield bearer battalion, which if they're in formation, they grant 33% armor to nearby units, friendly units. I think that's what was written in the description. I thought this, their ability only works on Urks, but apparently it's on all units. I'll try to remember to check back again on that to see which one is the correct versions of those. Okay, so he's also got 2 battalion of just swordsman Urks. And also Wildman. So he's got 2 work pits. He's got a work pit. It doesn't have a clan standing from what I can see. I discovered his, for instance, on the top side, by the way, a bit unlucky for him, and I'm pretty sure I'm gonna take them down fairly soon. But yeah, definitely his army is looking quite a bit stronger than mine. Mine is mostly comprised of Westfolders, you know, 2 battalions of them, and also 2 battalions of pikes. And I'm just going with the Westfold strategy, trying to make it work. But at this point, I'm kind of teching up even further and swapping. So I basically swapped the swordsman units, you know, peasants with Westfolders, much tankier and much better swordsmen. And at this stage, I'm trying to swap the pikes too with higher tech pikes, you know, Edoras Kingsguard, which are kind of like a mixed unit, you know. They're not entirely pikes, but they do have, I think they do deal pike damage. We'll look at that as well. So at this stage, I'm trying to, you know, make his life miserable by harassing his eco. And obviously, if your opponent has lumber mills, it's very effective to use cavalry against it, because you don't even necessarily need to, you know, get the lumber mill itself, but as long as you get the workers on the mills rather, then he's gonna be forced to rebuild them, which is gonna cost him some money. And I've got Aeromir on the field, and with Aeromir's leadership, of course, this cavalry becomes super effective. I'm continuing to harass with this little grouping over here, pikemen and Westfolders, and over this side, my army is chilling because I know that his army over here is so much stronger than mine, so I can't afford to fight him yet. But at the same time, I'm using my level 2, losing my level 2 barracks, which is a bit of a, yeah, a bit of a big sad situation, essentially. Continuing to harass here, he's doing one big push with this army, but also sending reinforcements with the army. And his army, by the way, is mostly comprised of melee units, so I hadn't paid attention to that fact just yet, but I will eventually. So, okay, so a few things. I use Horn of the Westfold, and which gives me 60-60, so 60% armor, 60% you know, damage, but he does the same. Warchant, I mean, Warchant is a bit worse, you know, 50-50 instead of 60-60, but he also has Tainted Land here, and under Tainted Land, under Lurtz's leadership. I'm pretty sure he's got, I can't see him right now, but I'm pretty sure he also had Ugluk in this spec, so definitely a fight I shouldn't have taken. You know, I used Horn of the Westfold. I should have just you know, bitten the bullet and wasted my Horn of the Westfold, but just retreated instead, because I lost this fight pretty convincingly too. So, you know, you see that's what this is how comebacks are made. You know, you lose. I pushed him so effectively in the beginning of the game. But I started to chill, started to not spam units anymore, started to not control as well anymore. So, and I fed him a few bad engagements over this side of the map, and he made basically a full comeback at this point. And at this point, besides the unfavorable conditions regarding the leadership, the Tainted Land, the War Chant, he's also got freezing rain, which is terrible news for me, because it nullifies all of my leadership and also hangs a debuff on my face. So yeah, my troops are kind of weak now. Not kind of weak, they're actually pretty darn weak compared to his troops. But I have no choice but to fight him, even if it means getting into unfavorable engagements. I have to fight them because I cannot afford. I already lost one of my barracks that was level 2, and I cannot afford the one that is level 3. Like, that would be catastrophic, essentially. Eomer Spear Throw incoming. Yes, Shark goes down. Yeah, so at this point I realized that no matter what I do, I cannot really fight him. Well, I guess, okay, I'm not saying this as a, you know, as a straight fact. I guess if I got the correct type of heroes, use the correct type of buffs, maybe Rohan infantry is capable of fighting with the Isengard one. Although I'm kind of skeptical of that. But under these circumstances, where he's so buffed, and this is, by the way, Sharku's summon. you cannot control him, and it attacks both enemy units and friendly units as well. So while this is happening, while I'm trying to defend his base, it's very, very, very important. It's literally paramount to harass his economy with my cavalry and not let him spam lumber mills, because if he gets lumber mills and if he gets upgrades on his orcs, then it's gonna be basically impossible for me to do anything at that point, you know, or I gotta be super creative after that to kind of counter that. So not sure where the not sure why he got resources for that kill. Does this also grant you like a pillage basically? Doesn't look like it. Anyway, yeah, he's continuing to take down my eco over this side, but I'm also very successful in my harassment with the cavalry, and I only have like 2 heroes here. I mean, I'm saying only, but those 2 heroes are quite good themselves, and also like a few half-dead battalions of Horsemen of the Mark and 1 battalion of Rohan Warriors. Okay, so Freezing Rain passes, and at this point I can afford moving out again. You know, moving outwards of my base is what I mean. So I switch my strategy once again. I realized that going full infantry is simply not going to work no matter how much I want it to. And so, just generally speaking, the meta strategy against Eisen is to go with ranged units. For example, for Gondor, you go with Athelian Rangers to counteract the super strong Eisen infantry. And basically, the same thing. I'm trying to kind of you know, I'm trying to cosplay the same strategy over here by going with Halifuриans in combination with Edoras Kingsguard. And the Kingsguard is super good, obviously. I'm talking about which. So yeah, this is one of those units that has the first row of the unit is pikeman. The second row is swordsman. So super effective unit, very universal as well. He once again uses Tainted Land. Oh man, I think I talked about this in one of the recent casts. Terrain abilities lost for so long in Age of the Ring. It's insane actually. They're very useful. So I split my army over here once again. 1 battalion stayed here. I remained behind basically to capture the inn. I sent back all the Halifuриans who are about to get trampled. So yeah, not the best control over here, you know, in terms of army composition. I use, by the way, the skill of the Roses right here. You know, I've gone for my second tier 2 and I stun his army to win myself some time. And he has 4,000 resources. Like, damn, he has definitely set up his economy at this point of the game. No matter how hard I tried to kind of get in the way and kill his furnaces, you know, destroy his furnaces, Eisen economy is probably the best in the game anyway, so it wasn't useful. I couldn't manage it super successful. So TaK is harassing me from 2 sides. Very good gameplay by him. He has divided his army. There's Ugluk here, I think, or no. Okay, anyway, that's not super important. But at this point, I've got a very good stack of Halifuриans over here, and he's trying to take down my stables, but he's unsuccessful with it. He's trying to get this stack away, and trying to get my level 3 farm over this side. I've got a decent stack of cavalry as well, and I'm also harassing him on this side. I'm pretty sure I took down a furnace here. Maybe another one, although I can't be sure about that. So my cavalry is going to counteract his one over this side, and my Halifuриans are gonna take down the Uruks pretty damn easily at this point. So yeah, switching the strategy once again was definitely the right decision, and I'm trying to get the kill on the forge, on the armory. Very important structure, and I wasn't controlling here a few moments ago, but as you saw, once I put my attention over here, I clumped my units better so that they could take it down better. Like, I'm getting shot at by the fortress and by some reinforcements, but I don't really care how many units I use here. I'm just, you know, I just want to get his armory destroyed, because you know, as I said before, Eisen with upgrades is super scary. a bit of mistake by him, didn't really have pikeman units, and at this point I've got a few battalion of Rohirrim supported by Theoden and also Eomer, and Eomer's leadership is actually insane because all the cavalry gets minus 50% crush deceleration. So basically they start trampling without slowing down. Of course they eventually slow down, but for all practical intents, they don't slow down, and they just keep trampling like a few battalions before starting to slow down. So at this point, so he has 2 tier 2s, tier 3, and also 21 points. And on the other hand, I've got 2 tier 2s as well, and 2 tier 3s. I was kind of forced. So initially I went with the Bountiful Harvest, which has boosted my eco tremendously, actually. Very good ability, and I've gotten Theoden thanks to that. I gotta get out of here. Yeah, not a favorable engagement. I do have a pretty decent army over here, so just gotta unite with that army. So I'm back to 1000 CP. I rebuilt my farms. So yeah, my eco is looking good. I have an eco buff, so I come back once again. TaK made a comeback like 10-15 minutes ago, but after that I made a comeback once again, and I get his armory once again. Pretty big deal for him, to lose that. And this cavalry, I feel like would have been tilting, because it just runs in the back of your base and destroys everything, and there's not much you can do. Like, obviously you can use these orc pikemen to kind of chase them, but obviously they're not fast enough, and the wargs are just no match to the Rohan cavalry. But it kind of makes sense. This is obviously not a balanced critique. It makes perfect sense that Rohan's strength is cavalry. It's just like a gameplay thing, which is annoying to deal with as Eisen. So I use the stunning ability on Skill of the Roses once again, and I trample the battalions that were left pikeman-less. And a bit of miscontrol here. I'm not sure what's happening with the Haliphirians. I guess I was trying to reposition the Edoras Kingsguard and the Haliphirian, but I'm going to get them exposed, and if he notices that, these wargs can trample them. And that's exactly what they're about to do. And he uses trample, he uses Tainted Land once again, but I have my second Skill of the Roses back at my base. Yes, 2 of those at this point, and that's a pain in the butt to deal with, because 2 stuns and each lasts for 15 seconds. So overall, that's like a 30 seconds. Of course, they cannot be attacked while they're completely stunned. But still, not like, it's not pleasant to just stay in the stun, because your opponent can reposition his troops in a way so that once the stun has ended, they would be in a prime position to engage in the battle. And that's exactly what I have done. You see, like, I have surrounded him from all sides. Archers here, infantry here, and the cavalry was just waiting for an opening to trample, but I couldn't see an opening. I felt like if I trampled there, if I tried to get a trample, I would have just fed him my horsemen, my riders, and that's not what I wanted to do. And if you have this sort of a stack on the map, as I said, it's such a pain to deal with, because they destroy farms so darn quickly. There isn't much you can do about that, outside of some kind of stunning ability. But Isengard does not have a stunning ability. The devastation thing used to devastation used to stun the army, but I think, well, I don't think, actually, I'm pretty sure, reasonably certain that it doesn't stun right now. And I'm getting his level 3 farm over here as well with this carry. See how quickly they take down a level 3 farm. That is insane, actually. And he goes for Fellstorm, which is against buildings, which is surprising. I feel like this was a bit of a mistake by him. Maybe he forgot that this is against buildings and not against army. And he uses it on my archers. I was like, damn. Whoa, why? They didn't even die, Haliphirians, well, they're kind of leveled up. I guess if they would have been, level 1, they would die. But I don't really lose that many troops over here. I mean, of course, they're half health. They're kind of, not in a functional situation to fight right now, but Theoden has healing ability, which he hasn't used yet. And besides that, I've also got Wells, obviously, because I'm playing for a good faction. They can just heal, so that for tier 4 accomplished jack shit, as they say. Okay, so on the other hand, I'm getting close to my tier 4. The reason I don't have it yet is because I went for the second tier 3. But I feel like that was absolutely the correct choice, going for the second tier 3 and canceling his freezing rain. Because freezing rain can be so devastating. It's like it can be such a strong ability. And that's why I make sure, like if I'm playing Isengard, if I'm playing against Isengard, then I'm making sure to go with a path in the PowerPoint tree, so as to have access, have the chance at any moment, after tier 2, to get weather canceling ability. Because yeah, if Eisen gets his freezing rain, then that's just gonna be a pain to deal with. Okay, so I've got my second barracks back up, and I've got my farms spammed absolutely all over the map. And on the other hand, Eisen is suffering from my cav harass. I feel like this cav harassment is what allowed me to get back into the game, essentially, because at one point he had such a good stack of orcs. He was harassing me at the bottom side of the map, getting all these farms, and also afterwards he split his army and started to harass my economy from two sides, one over here, one over here, and that was very hard to deal with. I couldn't really deal with only infantry, so I needed time to switch my strategy once again. The first switch was from peasants and yeoman spearmen to Westfolders and Edoras Kingsguard, and the second switch was from infantry based army to archer based army. And what allowed me to transition, especially the second time when I was in a pretty bad situation, what allowed me to transition from infantry to archer heavy army was a cavalry, because it was harassing him all the time. It was keeping him busy in his base, and he had to send pikemen battalions to counteract the cavalry, and he also lost so much of his eco. The lumber mills were not functional basically during the entire game, because I made sure to send raids over this side of the map on the lumber mills, or maybe over this side of the map, running over here, just killing the workers, not even destroying the lumber mills. Although at this point I have destroyed all of his lumber mills basically as well. And yeah, so at this point it's becoming pretty obvious that it's just a matter of time until I finish the game. But I tried to trample here, and basically all of my cavalry dies. I don't even know what happened here, looking back at it, But by the way, I've got my Helmingus warriors, which I haven't really used in a competitive game so far. So and at this point of the game, when I built them, I couldn't really judge their effectiveness, because yeah, at this point I have my tier 4. His economy is half dead. For this point of the game, 525 isn't really that good. I would say, like, not to sugarcoat things, I would say it's pretty bad. So yeah, I'm just starting to get siege units at this point. Rohirric Onager, I think it's Onager, yeah. This is what it's called in this case. So yeah, he uses freezing rain once again, and I'm not sure why, but my Ere the Sun Rises isn't back up yet, which is like, huh? Because I used it, I think I used it pretty much immediately last time. Like last time when he cast his freezing rain, I used Ere the Sun Rises to cancel it pretty much immediately. So it's a bit strange. Excuse me. It's a bit strange that it's not back up yet. But yeah, at this point it's pretty obvious. I got my tier 4, I got my Horde of the Westfold, and just like the movies, Rohan makes a comeback, and the Ents come to the aid. Cavalry under Eomer's leadership is harassing Isengard. This is like literally so classic. This is like, yeah. This is warming my Lord of the Rings fan heart. And yeah, at this point I just use Skill of the Roses for fun on the cavalry, I guess, stunning my own ends, my own 4th tier summon, but I already had 3 onagers at this point, so it didn't really matter. I was going to take down his fort anyway, and he calls GG, and yeah, really nice game. Excuse me. Really nice game, I would say. Props to TaK, rather, because he was in a really bad situation at some point, but he was persistent with his strategy and with his efforts, and he managed to make a comeback thanks to the cavalry, you know, thanks to Sharku and and the wargs. And he pushed me really hard at some point, you know, in the mid game. I guess it also depended on the fact that I tried to test the Westfolder strategy instead of going for a more standard one. So that definitely played a role too, in the fact that he made a comeback in the middle of the game. But yeah, in the middle of the game, I was feeling like I was feeling pressured. I gotta be honest with you, but yeah, I managed to keep harassing his base with my cavalry. Meanwhile, and also successfully transition from the infantry heavy strat to the archer heavy one, and eventually win the game. So yeah, hope you guys liked the gameplay in this one, and see you guys in the next one.